What if the most basic story you were ever told about God, creation, and yourself begins with a lie you were never meant to question? Before any word was spoken, before light or darkness, before even the idea of nothing, there was no scene, no sky, no waiting silence. There was only the monad, the one, the absolute source that existed before names, before thought, before being itself. This was not a God who listens to prayers or hands down rules. This was not a ruler watching from above. It was a mystery so deep that ancient Gnostic teachers shared it only in whispers, far from crowds and power. And it was so unsettling that later religions spent centuries trying to bury it, erase it, and replace it with something safer. Here is the twist most people never hear. Before any divine figure shaped worlds or judged souls, reality was a perfect, undivided unity. No separation, no hierarchy, no distance. And within that unity, you were already there, not created later, not added as an afterthought. You existed as part of the source itself. Most people never allow themselves to sit with this idea. It feels forbidden, dangerous, almost wrong. But if you stay, if you listen carefully, you may realize you are standing at the edge of a truth that can quietly, completely change how you see your life and your place in this world. After touching that quiet edge where unity whispers your name, an ancient text waits, as if it knew you would arrive at this exact moment. The Apocryphon of John, uncovered in 1945 among the buried scrolls of Nag Hammadi, does not begin with a universe bursting into form. It begins with something far more unsettling, a reality that cannot be grasped at all. It speaks of the monad as invisible, limitless, timeless, a fullness so complete it lacks nothing and seeks nothing. There is no outside to it, no witness beyond it, because nothing exists beyond it. All possibility already rests within. This is not just a story about a distant origin. It quietly mirrors something buried inside you. Valentinus, the 2nd century Gnostic teacher whose ideas shook the early foundations of Christianity, described this state as the pleroma, the fullness where nothing is missing and nothing is broken. And here the tension deepens. This source does not create by command or plan. It does not choose to act. It overflows. Reality pours from it the way light pours from the sun, without effort, without decision. From this overflow arise the aeons, not separate gods, but living expressions of a single awareness exploring itself from countless angles. If this feels distant, imagine an ocean without edges, depth, or surface. Now feel what happens when you realize you are not looking at it from the shore. You are a drop within it, momentarily shaped, momentarily aware, trying to remember something vast. This is not asking you to believe anything. It is inviting you to notice a quiet tension inside yourself, the sense that who you are might be larger than the life you were told to live. And if that feeling is stirring now, it may not be an accident. Yet the buried Gnostic writings, sealed in clay jars beneath the Egyptian desert for more than 16 centuries, whisper a very different origin story, one that feels less like a clean beginning and more like a fracture you can still feel inside yourself. They do not describe the world as a perfect act of intention. They describe it as a rupture. From the quiet wholeness of the pleroma emerged Sophia, the aeon of wisdom, moved by a longing to touch what could not be touched, to know what had no opposite. In that yearning, she reached without balance, without reflection, and something went wrong. From that imbalance arose a being shaped by confusion rather than clarity, a force unable to see the fullness above it. This being, called Yaldabaoth, looked into the emptiness and mistook his own reflection for supremacy. "I am God," he declared, "and there is no other." The Gnostics recognized this voice, not as the true source, but as a ruler born blind to unity, demanding loyalty because he could not remember where he came from. In this telling, the material world is not a punishment, but a kind of enclosure, a stage where fragments of divine light were caught, wrapped in flesh and time. And this is where the story quietly turns toward you. Because if this myth is read inwardly, it suggests that what feels like limitation in your life may not be your nature at all. It may be a forgetting. You are not portrayed as a flawed creation begging for worth, but as a spark of something vast, temporarily absorbed in a dense dream. That idea alone unsettles systems built on guilt and obedience. The early church sensed the danger immediately. If the light already lives within you, then no gatekeeper is required. No hierarchy is necessary. No external authority can claim ownership over your connection to the source. In the year 325, at the Council of Nicaea, this threat was quietly neutralized. Texts were excluded, voices erased, and the language of inner knowing was replaced with the image of a distant ruler who rewards submission and punishes doubt. Later, Augustine would give this shift its psychological backbone, insisting that human beings are broken at their core, incapable of approaching the divine without permission granted through ritual and institution. Read one way, it sounds like humility. Read another, it feels like control. If you are taught that something essential is missing from you, you will spend your life searching outside yourself for what was never lost. This is why the memory of the monad had to fade. The direct path had to be blurred. Not because it was false, but because it was too liberating. And if something in you tightens as you hear this, if part of you resists while another part quietly exhales, that tension may be the very place where this story becomes personal. It does not ask you to reject your world. It invites you to look at it differently, to notice where you feel trapped, and to wonder, just for a moment, whether the lock was always on the inside. Yet truth has a way of moving quietly, like water slipping through stone, finding openings no wall can fully seal. Across centuries, long after doctrines hardened and names were erased, certain individuals still broke through the surface and touched that same silent depth for themselves. They did not always agree on language, but when they spoke of what they encountered, the shape of it felt strangely familiar. In the 14th century, a Christian mystic named Meister Eckhart stood before accusations of heresy for daring to say something simple and unsettling, that the eye with which he sees God is the same eye with which God sees him. Beneath the shock of that sentence is an intimate suggestion that the distance we assume between ourselves and the divine may be thinner than we were taught. Eckhart described a ground of the soul, a depth beneath identity, belief, and effort, where the individual self dissolves into a wordless unity. Prayer, to him, was not asking or pleading, but resting in a stillness beyond images, beyond action, where all movement begins. Travel east into Jewish mysticism, and this same silence appears again, called Ein Sof, the infinite, the no thing that exists before the first stirring of light. The Zohar speaks of it as so vast that even saying it exists would already reduce it. And yet, from this hidden fullness, everything that ever appears quietly unfolds. The early Kabbalists sensed what the Gnostics sensed before them. Creation is not a command shouted into emptiness, but a gentle overflow of what is already complete. Look further east, and the Buddhist idea of Dharmakaya emerges, the formless ground from which all forms arise and to which they return. It is not a god watching from afar, but the deep nature of reality itself, beyond labels, beyond grasping. And thousands of years earlier, the Upanishads spoke directly, almost dangerously, saying, "Thou art that," pointing to the idea that Brahman, the highest reality, is not separate from Atman, the deepest self. A wave is never apart from the ocean. A ray is never cut off from the sun. These are not metaphors meant to impress. They are meant to be felt. If something in you quietly agrees without knowing why, that feeling may be closer to the point than any doctrine. This is not about believing in another system or trading one authority for another. It is an invitation to notice something already happening in you. When the constant inner noise softens, when the roles you perform loosen their grip, there is an awareness that remains, clear, unowned, unchanged. The Gospel of Thomas captures this with unsettling simplicity, recording Jesus as saying that what you bring forth from within can save you, and what remains buried can undo you. What lies within is not your story, your name, or your status. It is not even the soul as you may imagine it traveling through time. It is the same undivided awareness that existed before all stories began. If this feels uncomfortably close, almost personal, that may be the point. It is not asking you to escape your life, but to see who is living it right now. Yet, even here, a tension remains, one that may already feel familiar in your own life. The Gnostics spoke openly about it. They said humanity is asleep, caught in a kind of cosmic forgetting, not because we are broken, but because something essential has been covered over. They described forces they called archons, not monsters in the sky, but patterns of power that thrive on distraction, fear, and division. Their influence does not need chains or violence. It only needs you to forget who you are. When you identify completely with a small, anxious self, one that is always lacking, always chasing, always afraid of loss, you become easy to steer. Every message that whispers, "You are not enough, not accomplished enough, not pure enough, not worthy enough," feeds this sleep. If you believe you are separate, you can be managed. If you believe you are flawed at the core, you can be offered salvation for a price. If you believe you are nothing more than a fragile body moving toward death, fear becomes a powerful leash. And yet, the Gnostics insisted that forgetting is never complete. The source calls to itself. No matter how deep the amnesia, something in you remembers. It surfaces in dreams that feel more real than waking life, in moments of beauty that stop thought entirely, in sudden stillness that arrives without explanation. They called this anamnesis, the slow unforgetting of what was never truly lost. In this light, Jesus was not seen as a sacrifice meant to appease a distant God, but as a revealer, someone who had fully awakened to his unity with the source and came to awaken that same knowing in others. His message was not centered on belief or obedience. It was intimate and unsettling. Know yourself. This raises a quiet but urgent question. How does remembering actually happen? How does the spark recognize the fire? The ancient Gnostics did not leave this vague. They spoke in symbols that point inward. When texts describe making the two into one, or the inner like the outer, they are not issuing moral commands. They are describing a shift in perception. The divisions you experience between self and world, right and wrong, inside and outside, are useful tools of the thinking mind, but they are not ultimate truths. When those divisions soften, something deeper comes forward. Some Gnostic communities practiced what they called the bridal chamber, not a physical ritual, but an inner reconciliation, where fragmented parts of awareness were allowed to reunite. In modern life, filled with noise and urgency, this may sound distant, yet the doorway remains simple. It begins with stillness. Not the effortful stillness of fighting thought, but the natural quiet that appears when you stop chasing it. Sit somewhere undisturbed. Let the breath move on its own. Watch thoughts rise and fall without following them. Over time, you may notice a small pause between one thought ending and the next beginning. A gap. This gap is not empty. It is spacious, alert, alive. The Gnostics understood this space as a threshold. Rest there gently. Let it widen on its own. In that resting, something ancient stirs, not as a dramatic vision, but as a recognition, a sense of being whole without effort. If this feels subtle, even fragile, stay with it. The most important doors rarely announce themselves loudly. As the path narrows, something unexpected happens. The old Gnostic text known as Allogenes speaks of a visionary ascent through the aeons, layers of reality unfolding one after another. But it quietly warns that the deepest realization does not arrive through visions, symbols, or extraordinary experiences. Those, too, must be left behind. Even the highest images of divinity eventually dissolve. What remains is not a greater object to understand, but the end of understanding itself. You move past every idea of God as a being, past every structure the mind can hold, until only the monad remains. And in that moment, there is no one left to reach it. The line between seeker and source disappears. There is no observer standing apart. There is only awareness, knowing itself without effort. This is why the Gnostic Jesus urged his listeners to become passers-by. A passerby does not cling. A passerby does not confuse the shapes that appear in consciousness with consciousness itself. A passerby walks through the world of forms lightly, aware that everything encountered, from the most radiant divine figure to the smallest grain of dust, is a temporary expression of the same eternal ground. From this view, your life is not about climbing higher within the world of appearances. It is not about becoming spiritually impressive or collecting peak experiences. It is about remembering what you never stopped being. When this recognition begins to settle, its consequences quietly reshape everything. If you are not separate from the monad, then neither is anyone else. The stranger you pass, the person who challenges you, the one you love deeply, even the one you fear, all arise from the same source, wearing different faces, playing different parts in the same unfolding story. From this recognition, a different kind of care emerges. The Greeks called it agape. Buddhists call it bodhicitta. It is not sentiment or obligation. It is the natural response of seeing yourself reflected everywhere. When the mask of personality thins, what looks back at you is familiar. The secret book of John captures this voice when it records Jesus saying, "I am the forethought that dwells in the light. I am the movement within the all. I am hidden in the thought of the invisible. I move within every creature." Read inwardly. This is not a single man making a claim. It is the source speaking through form, reminding itself of itself. So how does one live from this knowing? Not by escaping the world or rejecting the body, not by denying ordinary life. You still work, still build, still love, still feel loss and joy. The difference is subtle but profound. The tight grip loosens. You participate without believing that everything depends on the outcome. You meet each moment with presence, not because it is sacred in theory, but because it is the monad meeting itself through your particular eyes. There is nowhere else to arrive, nothing missing, nothing delayed. The so-called path leads only back to what has always been here. And perhaps the quietest, strangest realization of all is this: there was never a journey. How could there be a journey from the monad to the monad? The entire search, with its stages and teachings, may simply be a game awareness plays with itself, a cosmic smile, waiting to be noticed. You are already that. Right now, as these words settle, the awareness hearing them is not distant from the source of all awareness. The one who has been listening, wondering, feeling stirred, is not separate from what has been named throughout this journey. What has been searching and what has been felt have always moved closer than thought can measure. What may feel like searching is simply awareness, briefly forgetting itself, then slowly remembering. There is no failure in that, no delay, no mistake. Nothing in this movement was wasted. Nothing you have felt while listening is accidental. The quiet tension, the moments of recognition, even the resistance, all have their place. And there is no rush. You are not behind. You have not missed your moment. What unfolds does so in its own season. History has shown that this knowing cannot be erased. Books were burned, voices were silenced, bodies were broken during the Inquisition, yet the essence they tried to destroy remained untouched. What is real was never vulnerable. It waited patiently, moving through time until it could be felt again. And here it is, not arriving from somewhere else, but meeting you exactly where you are. This does not demand effort or proof. It invites rest, a soft trust, a sense that you are not alone in what you are noticing. If something within you feels steadier now, quieter, more familiar, allow that to be enough for this moment. Let the understanding breathe. There is more that can be seen, gently, layer by layer, when the time is right. And when you feel that quiet pull again, the sense that something unseen is guiding your attention forward, the path continues, waiting in the spaces ahead.